On this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make a pair of segmented greaves. So, because there's no historical aspect of this type of armor, I'm just going to jump right into it. So what you're going to be needing is
a pair of gloves, a pencil, a carpenter ruler, a T-square, a pair of hand shears, electric shears, calipers, a couple of ball-peen hammers, a trailer hitch, cloth tape, a steel punch, a chisel, a leather punch, end clippers, a pair of scissors, a pair of vice grips, a felt pen, whiteout, rivets, washers, leather strapping, and of course, ear and eye protection.
And also, before we start, I also want to tell you this is my only second attempt at making these type of greaves. So there are going to be fallibles and problems, and things are going to be altered here and there and as we go along. So I just want to tell you right off the bat that, like the rest of these tutorials that I've done, these are just guidelines about how to make type of armor in your garage with what you have. This is not the end-all be-all, so if you can find a better way of doing it, by all means go with it. There is no wrong or right ways. So I just wanted to put that out there. So let's get going. First thing you need to do is get your measurements for your leg. Alright, you're going to want the radius and the length. So get a cloth tape, something you can probably find at a fabric store or any type of art store around the area. Alright, first thing you want to do, go around the base of your ankle, where your ankle meets your foot. Find the center of your foot, alright, and measure it. So for here, it's about 12 inches. Alright, so now you want to go up to the top here. Same thing. Go around, do that. So that's 15 inches. Alright, and then you want the radius. The length, I'm sorry. Alright, so again, find where your ankle meets your foot, run it up, and for me it is 16 inches. Alright, now here's an optional thing. There were two types of greaves that I know of. One that just protected the lower leg, and then there's one that protected the lower leg and the kneecap. I'm going for one that covers the kneecap also. So what I just did was I measured it up to my kneecap on the length. Now I'm just going to do around the knee. So grab that, find the center of your knee again, wrap it around, and for this it's about 16 and a half inches. Alright, so now that you got your measurements, what you need to do now is basically split a couple of those measurements in half. Okay, don't worry about the length is fine. What you want to do is get your radius, the numbers for your radius, for the radius of your leg. All right, because that covered your whole entire leg. You don't want to cover your whole leg unless you're doing a completely enclosed greave. So what you want to do is just get the numbers. So for me it's 15 for the top, and then 12 on the bottom. So, and then just divide it by 2, or half, or break it in half. So for the bottom is easy, it's 12, it'll be 6 inches, and then the top is 15, so that's going to be about 7.5 inches. All right. So now that you have your numbers, next thing that you want to do is get your metal, and then you're going to start doing the measurements out on that piece. Here's our steel. This is not the steel that we're going to be using. What we're going to be using is actually an older version of a greave I tried to do many years ago. But I'm just going to use this to show you how to place the marks and everything like that. And hopefully through experience that I've dealt with and everything, this will make it a lot easier for you to do it. Because the greave that we're going to be showing is that it was actually, I wanted to make a full complete greave. I was able to cut it out, but it took me 3 to 4 hours to do it because I was using a pair of hand shears, and it was just one of the most miserable things I ever did in my life, and I promised myself I would never do it again. So hopefully this will make it a little easier. Alright, so what you want to do is get your cloth tape, okay, mark, put it on the true cut on the piece of metal. All right. Next, you want to do is mark where the bottom piece is at the 6-inch mark. Okay. Now, once you did that, place the mark down, run it up, and you want to do it at the 16-inch mark. So now you have the bottom. Now you have where you want to have it at the top. And next thing you want to do is make the mark at the high point of the greave. So here it would be 7.5. Alright, so now you got your marks. As you can see, I put the high point of your lower leg a couple inches away from the top of this. The reason is that I measured up to my kneecap. So what you want to do is first place the marks where, place the tape at the edges of the mark that you just did, as so. So now you have an idea about where you're going to do it. Alright? So now you have where you have the top part of the greave. And now what you want to do is kind of do it that way. And then once you get that, actually get this, get your T-square, put it on the true end, tighten it up, so you got that. Alright, so now you have an idea about where you want your greave. Alright, so now that you have your marks, what you want to do is figure out how many pieces you want to cut across. Because I'm going to go for 7. What you want to do is divide the length of the length of it, which is 16 inches, by how many times you want to cut this. I did 7, so it would come out to be 2. It would be 2 inches. It would be a 2-inch at a 2-inch interval. So what you want to do, place the tape along. Place it at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yes. Alright. So now you got your marks. Okay. Get your square again. Alright. And then just make straight lines. The reason I'm saying this is now that you have where you want to make your cuts. Alright, we got our marks. With these marks, you're going to use either a pair of electric shears such as this, or a regular pair of hand shears to cut. This hopefully will make it a lot easier for you and when you want to cut it and everything. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. Like I said, I haven't done this a lot. I haven't done this often enough to really be a total expert at it. One thing I do want to tell you, as you can see, I've kind of foobarred some of these marks here. The reason is that once you get up to the last couple of ones, what you want to do is with this is actually the first greave I did, is that you want to angle these pieces here. The reason is that this is where the knee is going to bend. If you had the metal completely turned on this point here, you're going to probably have trouble bending your leg and everything. So this is something that I really can't explain on this tutorial. I really wish I could explain it to you, but honestly, I don't even remember how the heck I did it properly. This is one of those things that you probably might have to just look at it and figure it out as you progress. One option I could suggest to you is to place it on your leg, like I'm going to be doing in this later on, and seeing where it lands in places on your leg. So I'm really sorry. I really wish I could explain it better, but I don't know how to. So with that, we're going to go on to the cutting. I'm going to pull out the piece of metal that I was going to make the other greave out of and show you how it goes. So now that you got your cut, your greave that's basically spread out, you want to grab a ruler such as this. Go from one end to the other. Get a pencil or a felt pen or anything else. Actually, I may have another piece. Actually, or pastel. All right. So this is about 8 inches. So more or less, you find a 4-inch. Find 4 inches. Make your mark. Like I said, you don't have this is not exact science. A lot of it's eyeing up, stuff that you will eventually learn as you do this more and more. All right. So now you got that. Now you run. As so. Now you have your center. The reason you want to have your center is that when you start molding it and bending it, you want to know exactly where your centerpiece is, so that when you start molding it, that it's going to match up to your shin bone. So when you have that done, next thing you want to do is more or less make marks to know where you're going to be cutting it, so that you can segment it. As you can see, I already did this, and I also did a couple of cuts so that when I use the electric shears, that the shears will not be not biting into anything. It has a starting point, and then you can just go straight across. But you have to also hold on to it and make sure that you are going straight across instead of like bending back and forth. Again, it's a lot of eyeing up, and so enough talking. Let's get to the cutting. Oh, I forgot, before we start cutting, as someone told me once, preparation before a project will save you a heartache later on down the line. Because this is going to be cut and segmented, you're going to be needing to place a leather backing along the sides and in the center. So you're going to have to be making holes to fit rivets. Alright? So what you want to do is find where you want to place your first hole, and also try and figure out how big of a piece of leather you got, and then make the mark. Alright? Now I'm going to pull out my new toys. Basically, these are called calipers. So once you find out where you want the hole, you more or less can alter the dimensions of this caliper, this piece. Alright? So that you can get a general idea about where you want to place the mark on the opposite side, so that they're going to be even out. Alright? Actually, gotta open it up some more. Sorry. Alright, so like again, it's not super eyeing up, but it can give you an idea. It gives you a lot of better idea about where you want to place it. I mean, it's still a good idea to sit back, take a look at it, see if you like it. If not, you know. But it definitely helps along the lines that you can start getting an idea about about it being symmetrical in a lot of ways. Okay, once you get that one, get your second caliper as this, and then you more or less move it up to where you want that. Okay, and then you can mark it there. Alright, same on this side. Alright, and then you can just proceed to go all the way up with that. Alright, now get some ear protection. Get yourself a punch and a hammer, ball peen if you got one, probably the best one. Alright, find where the mark is. Make your mark. I also suggest just going up, trying to make it into a straight line. Alright. Okay. Now that you got your marks, all you have to do is continue onwards. Also, I did forget the center. So what you want to do is find where the Alright. I also just want to tell you, I've only used these one other time so far, so I might be using them wrong. If that's the case, send me a comment, tell me that I'm using them wrong, tell me how to use them properly. I'm, you know, like I said, I'm always up for learning something new. So, if I'm using them right, great. Alright, so, but enough of that. Let us go on to what I was talking to you earlier before, about the cutting of this. Before we start cutting, I want to go back to this about marking yet again. The pastels wore off. So what I would suggest, actually, I totally forgot about this, is that if you have some of it, use it. White out. It actually works really well. It stays on, it's tough, and then when you finally have to start drilling, it actually flakes off and you don't have to worry about staying on your armor and making it noticeable. But anyway, so now that you have your marks, you got your divots and everything like that, grab your eye protection, make sure you have your ear protection, grab a glove for your hand, grab your shears, and start cutting. Electric shears can only cut through so much, as you can see. It went from one side to the other. Unfortunately, it's not strong enough. I don't have a bevel shear. I wish I did, but you know, they're about $700, and I don't have $700. So, if you can get it that far, just gotta go to Plan B, and there's a pair of snips. Okay, just want to give you a heads up. It's gonna, after a few tries, it's gonna be kind of painful. So if you do it, stop. You know, start again, stop, go back to it. You know, so. But once you cut the pieces, though, what I would suggest is get a felt pen, as this, and mark it in the back, in the back area of your armor. Just what I do is number 1, and then I also place an arrow about which way it's going to be going up. Because once you start cutting, then unfortunately the pieces are going to start looking the same, especially the center pieces. So this way you can know which piece came after the other one instead of trying to figure it out. So once you do that, it makes life a lot simpler. Okay, got your pieces. You cut them nicely. As you can see, they're all in separate pieces. So now you have to make sure you don't stab yourself in the process of making this stuff. So what I do, more or less, cut the ends off of where I just cut, so that when you got to work with it, you're not going to accidentally stab yourself and get tetanus or any other funky metal base disease. Alright? Well, even though you cut the edges off, the new areas where you just cut along to here are still sharp. What you want to do is get yourself your grinder. And more or less go along the edges. Go along the edges to smooth them out. You also can see though that also takes off all the rust. So I'm going to go through all the pieces and remove all the rust. So here you go. Cut the pieces like I showed you before, and also you can see that I smoothed them out, got rid of all the rust that's on them. So now we got to drill the holes. So first thing you want to do though is find the rivets that you're going to use, like these. You want to check out, you want to grab a couple drill bits, more or less match them up to the back so that you have a general idea about how big of a drill bit that you want, so that it can work, so that when you pound down the rivet and spread it out, that it can go over. Also though, I'm going to still be using washers anyway, so even if the drill bit is a bit larger than the rivet, you can always put a couple of washers on it to make the hole proper size for the rivet. So right here I got it. So got the drill press, get some oil, put it on the drill bit. I was taught this by a farrier who told me that this helps protect the drill bit from dulling on you quicker. I don't know how true it is, but it does seem to work, so I have to agree with him. Alright. Also, I would suggest too is that once you cut the pieces, go back, eye up where you want to put the holes, and use a punch and to make the marks again, because sometimes when you finally do cut it, the punch holes may not be even. So again, you know, it's always good to go back and look at it again to make sure that everything's set. So once you get everything set, you get everything prepped, you just start the drill. Okay, so you got your holes. Even though you have your holes, you're not done with the drill press. As you can see, the back of where the drill went through is that you have all these pieces of sharp metal sticking out. So what you want to do now is take out the drill bit. Once you finish all the pieces, oops, you want to put a countersink in, which is this piece. What a countersink does is it goes the opposite way. It smooths out the holes so that you have a flush and a very smooth piece. Again, this is about just trying to keep yourself from getting cut and sliced or ruining your equipment or your clothing. So once you get all, like I said, once you get all the holes in, all you gotta do now is put that, get your piece of metal, go to the back piece. And there you go. The countersink basically just smooths it out. So compared to what you had here, where it's all the pieces of metal and stuff sticking outwards, you have a nice smooth piece. So you have your pieces. Got your holes, you smooth them out, everything is looking good. Now it's about measurement. So you want to get your bottom piece. Think of it as the foundation for your house. Well, the house is only as strong as its foundation. Alright? So you get your leg, you measure it out pretty much where you want it. Me personally, so you want it pretty much where the foot meets the ankle. Now you get your caliper, right? So you know where your leg is. Now you want to measure out where you want to close this and make it somewhat snug around your foot. You know, not super tight, but just enough so that you can easily pull this off. So now you got the measurement for your foot, about the radius, I should say, of your ankle to your foot. All right. Now, get your piece. Actually, let me move this closer. Show you what I want to do now. So you got your piece. So what you want to do now is lay your piece out. Make sure that you want to lay your piece out. You want to lay your caliper more or less in the center of where your foot is. Alright? Now you want to get your pen or a piece of chalk and make a mark. The reason for these marks is that this is where you want to bend this piece of metal around so that it sits snug around your leg. Okay, so now that you have your marks, you want to get your ruler and your square so that you have straight lines. Also, you want to make a mark in that center hole right there. You want to also mark that. And I will show you the reason why. Okay, so you have your marks. Now you're asking, what am I going to do with these marks? What you want to do is come to the vice grip, open it just a couple of inches, not all the way. All right. Now you want to get that piece of metal, that line, to pretty much be straight in the center of the divot. All right. Next, I'm going to get a chisel, a metal chisel, such as this. All right. Mark up, place a mark, the chisel on the mark, and just lightly tap it first so that you have you know where you're going with it. Okay, the reason is I will show you in the next phase. Alright, so once you get that down, you just want to do this through the whole thing. Just, you don't have to whale it. Let gravity and the divot do it for you. Okay, so now you see that you have a bend in it, allowing it to have some movement. Alright, now what you want to get is, of all things, a trailer hitch. Mainly one that has got a curve to it, also a ball. Alright, because what you want to do now is open this up all the way so that the trailer hitch will fit in there. Alright. Ow. That hurt. I suggest also wearing gloves because this is actually kind of hurts after a while. Especially if you get your hands caught. Alright. So, you got your hitch. You want to make it tight. Actually lift it up a little. And you want to make this as tight as you can. You want to make this tight as you can. Alright. Okay. Now that you got that in there, get your vice grips. Grab a hold of it. And now grab a ball peen hammer again. This also helps find any imperfections. Alright. And well, you can start bending it. And as you can see, the reason why I put those those creases in there is that it helps know, so that I know where I have to bend it enough. Alright? And also it's easier for the piece to bend. this is a lot of training the eye. Like, I know this is... So you got a piece now. You can see it's not perfect. The other nice thing is that you can give it a little, with the banging and everything, you can bend it a little bit. Alright, so now that you got that, you just want to put it up against your leg, again, as so, and actually use your leg as the final shaping of it. Because these are small pieces, you're able to do that. I mean, if you get you just got to have a little strength behind it. But also, though, it's relatively flexible now. So now that you can start messing around with it and bending it with your bare hands. Do it then. And there you go. But that's not all. We got to go back because I got to show you what the next part. Actually, hell, I'll show you right here. The thing is that once you do it, the piece is more or less done. But the second piece you have to do. Unfortunately, this is one of the slow aspects of the armorsmithing or the armoring business. Okay? Because once you get that piece, you can put that there, see what it looks like. Next, you got to get the second one, more or less, and mark it where you want it. Because you have to get the caliper again, as is, to more or less so that you can get another measurement for the second piece. This is the slow, arduous process because your leg, as everyone knows, starts off small and then slowly grows out to come to the knee. So that with each piece, your leg's going to be a little bit bigger. So you can't just say, okay, I got this piece and then I can, just use that as a template to raise it up. This is one of those things you have to do each one individually. Okay, so, and also you want to mark it to make sure that that the holes are covered. All right, so you get your caliper again, and yeah, more or less find where it wants, and you do the same thing over and over again. So you do it with this piece, followed by this piece, by that piece. The only piece that you don't really have to do it with is the final piece that covers your knee. That one you can just kind of shape to fit around your knee in a proper, to fit around properly, because your knee bends. This is not going to be attached to anything. It's going to be a free-floating piece. So that's pretty much how you do it. This is one of those things where you have to do each and every one individually, and so that it fits snugly onto your leg. So, all right. So once I get the other pieces done, I will go on to showing you how to put the leather in and rivet it.